Hello and welcome back to GoldStockTrades.com. Today we have back here with us Corrado De Gasperis. Corrado is CEO of Comstock Mining. Comstock Mining can be traded as LODE on the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks, Corrado, for being here with us today.
Thanks, Jeb. It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Significant news was released today, Corrado. Investors of Comstock were waiting on this critical permit. What's the significance of the permit? How is it going to help the company going forward?
Yes, we heard last night from the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection that we did receive a major modification to our water control permit. This is really the permit that regulates the magnitude of our heap leaching process. In effect, what it allows us to do is increase the rate at which we stack and process ore by 4 times, going from a limit of 1 million tons per annum to 4 million tons per annum. And so for us, it's a critical step in achieving our growth plans.
Corrado, talk to us about some of the growth plans with Comstock Mining.
So now that we have a facility that can process 4 million plus tons per annum, and we have the permits, if you will, to do that, it will allow us to immediately increase our rate by double. So we look to increase production rates by double. All of the infrastructure, all of the fleet, all of the employees trained and in place are already there to do that. So effectively, we will be looking to double our revenue year on year, going from a rate of 20,000 gold equivalent ounces to a rate of over 40,000 gold equivalent ounces without increasing at all the fixed cost structure of the company, and accordingly dropping our unit cost to produce an ounce to a rate of between 725 to 795 an ounce, and we're still technically running at only half of the physical capacity that we have. So it's a step in a much larger direction.
Corrado, investors and gold miners, a lot of the gold miners are facing issues with production costs being too high. Talk to us about Comstock's costs and how this permit will help with the costs.
Well, I think that once we're able to leverage, the fixed cost base that we have, the unit cost will drop, as we discussed. But even more importantly, it brings us to a point where our, all-in cost to produce is substantially lower than the market price, and that's really our impetus to turn cash positive. And we're there. We're there with this permit. We'll finish off the expansion of the existing heap leach, which 85% of what was required to be done was allowed to be done without this permit. The last steps, including the lining of the expanded pad, will be done in the next few weeks, and then we'll be literally off and running.
Talk to us about the current production and give us an update on how production has been going over the summer and the fall.
Oh yeah, really great. We just announced the third quarter production rates. In terms of gold and silver, I'm ecstatic, frankly, to report that even with the million-ton limit that we were currently operating under, we shipped a record 5,200 plus ounces of gold in the third quarter, and over or almost 59,731 ounces of silver. So both are records for our young, production history, and those are the kinds of numbers that, we're looking to grow and double from.
Talk to us about the history of you coming into production. You came in about a little over a year ago, and the great amount of progress that you've made since you started production.
It's really been an incredible sort of progression. Literally, it was last August when we started the pre-mining activities, and last October, just 1 year ago, when we had our first pour. So to go from the first pour in the first quarter of last year to, ramping up in the first quarter and second quarter of this year, effectively achieving the rate that we were planning to in the second quarter based on that permit limitation, and then sustaining and improving those pours, within that same limit in the third quarter has been gratifying. But frankly, we've been looking forward to for quite a while being able to take this bigger step up, not just because, it allows us to double revenue with the existing cost structure, but, because that cash positive footprint is what really, I think, is differentiating us today from most of the junior miners and our peers out there in the market.
And before we conclude, can you talk a little bit about the exploration potential and the amount of growth in the historic Comstock district?
Yes, we've issued 4 technical reports, and the foundation of those reports is the structural integrity, the geological structural controls over what is a 6-mile contiguous strike. The historic Comstock LODE was miled on about 2.5-mile strike to the far north and up and below Virginia City. What we've effectively done and validated through the technical reporting process is a structure that is much, much bigger than that. We also have effectively targeted some near-surface mineralization in the Lucerne and Dayton, 2 of the 7 target areas that follow along that structure. So in many regards, we've only looked to develop a tiny fraction of the entire district. Having said that, we've already validated millions, over 3 million ounces of gold equivalent, literally 10 ounces of silver to every ounce of gold. And at the end of last year, we went deeper into the Lucerne area and hit a large structure, which we're calling the shoot zone, 150 by 450 concentration of high-grade ore that is actually larger than its nearest historic bonanza, the Woodville Bonanza that was discovered on the Comstock, is just north of the shoot zone. So from almost all intents and purposes, we feel like we're just scratching the surface, but from every geological perspective, we've validated a much, much bigger district than was previously known. We've validated the controls from top to bottom, and we're hitting literally on every hole as we step out of our initial mining area. So to us, that bodes extremely well, for the exploration runway, the ultimate potential, in terms of the district, in terms of discovery and development. Right now, obviously, we're focused on the near term of increasing our production to a sustainable rate, but we look very much, hopefully maybe mid to later next year, that we could start resuming a more step-out development and step-out exploration activity.
Well, Corrado, thank you so much for being here with us and for giving us an update on recent permitting activity and the immediate expansion of production.
Thank you for having me, Jeb. It's always a pleasure, and certainly we very much appreciate the interest in our company.